director of the Mahaney Arts Center. It's my pleasure to welcome you here to NER Outlouder here at the Mahaney Arts Center Dance Theater. This event is an important part of our efforts to strengthen literary arts programming for the Mahaney Arts Center, and I'm glad you're here to be part of it. And a special hello to our friends who are joining us online. Hello to you too. Thank you very much to our planning partners, Carolyn Keebler of the New England Review and Dana Yetten of Oratory Now, who worked thoughtfully with their teams to get this event up on its feet. Before we start, just a few housekeeping notes. You'll find emergency exits at the door where you came in, and there's one more in this back corner, should we need it. And please take a moment now to turn off your cell phone. Even if you think you've already done so, it's a good time to just pull it out and check again, out of courtesy to everyone around you. Please no texting or photography or recording during this evening's event. Besides, you don't need to record because the performance is being live streamed on the dance department's YouTube channel, which means it'll be available for replay and playback later. So you'll have a copy of it ready to go. Yeah, okay. Now I'd like to turn the stage over to Carolyn Keebler, editor of the New England Review.
And thank each and every one of you for coming out tonight. We're so delighted to be able to present NER Outlouder. This is a literary extravaganza put together by Oratory Now, which is a student-driven, faculty-directed center for training and research in oral expression, by the Mahaney Arts Center, as Liza just said, which offers world-class performing arts of all kinds, all year round in this incredible hive of a building, and also the New England Review, which is a nationally recognized literary journal published right here at Middlebury College. So we've been putting together these NER Out Loud events every year since 2015 with a little break for the pandemic. And this year we've come back with NER Out Louder. Louder because this year we feature not only readings from the New England Review performed by students from Oratory Now, as in the past, but also the students have come into the theater to read their own work right here in the dance theater, which is a really, really lovely space for a reading. Also new this year is live musical improvisations by Mark Christensen, who will help cleanse the palate between each of the readings. And this new, louder, and slightly less formal program will give us a chance to experience even more of the ways that our students, and we humans in general, engage with literature. As readers, as writers, as listeners, editors, and performers. I know that we writers and editors tend to spend a lot of time with our texts all alone, which is kind of how we like it. But once in a while, it is very invigorating and motivating and even revelatory to experience literature communally. So we can laugh together, feel uncomfortable together a little bit, say, together. So don't be shy. Our performers will want to know their audience is here with them. So tonight, 4 students from Oratory Now will read poetry and prose that was published in the New England Review over the past year. These are pieces that were selected out of the thousands of submissions that we get every year, and we publish in print, like this, and in ebooks, and distribute around the world. Alternating with these performers will be 3 students who are reading their own writing, some of which they've been revising up until last week, maybe even until this afternoon, but all of which they have written during their time here as students at Middlebury. So before I let them do their thing, I'm going to give a few shout outs to a bunch of people. First, a huge thank you to theater professor and the faculty director of Oratory Now, Dana Yetten. He's a great matchmaker and pieces of literature to students who will perform them, and then he also works very closely with them to draw out the most meaningful and polished performances. Also, thank you very much to Leslie Sines. She's New England Review's managing editor, and she spent some time coaching our student writers on how to make their own work get that transition from the page to out loud as they read in front of an audience. This program also relies completely on Liza Sekeli, whose energy and vision for the arts extends to embrace the written word, even here in the Performing Arts Center, Of course, to Mark, who's providing this really great music. He's our concert hall technical director. And Bert Crosby. Bert, thank you for allowing us to bring the words and voices into this dance theater. It's a little bit outside of the usual wheelhouse, but you've been incredibly accommodating, and we're very grateful. And finally, thank you to the students who will bring their words and their voices and their talents and their jitters all onto the stage tonight. I really can't wait to hear what you're going to do. So please stick around afterwards for a dessert reception. You'll have a chance to speak to the students about their work with Oratory Now and with the New England Review and anything else they might talk about. And you'll also get a chance to look through some issues of the New England Review and Blackbird Literary Arts Journal, which will also be out on the table. So thank you all again so much for coming out. We're really happy to see you. I hope you enjoy this evening's performance as much as I know that I will. So let's give a big warm welcome to NER Outlouder.
Hi everybody, my name is Sathvik Kunigal. I'm a first year at Middlebury College. I'll be majoring in something like film or political science or economics. I'll graduate inevitably. I'm here today to read to you. It's my first semester here. I started with Oratory Now just about a month ago, and I'm incredibly excited to be here to read today. I'll be reading to you a little bit of Title Lock by Jiao. My friend. The best part about seeing my friend is looking forward to it. She lives at the Castaway's apartment, a decrepit nautical affair with peeled paint and broken out first floor windows. She's the last one there, gets eviction notices, ignores them. I think being evicted is just too much like going somewhere to suit her. Befriending my friend is like getting a leash to treat your attachment disorder. Today, she thinks maybe she got bitten by a sea snake. She says it's one of the worst, you know? She says she may not make it. She's not going to talk about it much more unless it gets much worse, she says. She sends me out to find a tourniquet, though. Mostly, friendship is something you seek, and then seek to escape, I've noticed. The way fame is for some. I didn't know my friend had ever once been in the sea. Eel. My friend is effervescent and inert, like a dozing electric eel. She went to one of those schools for making handmade musical instruments and felt and dolls. It was almost too rigorous for her. I had some business cards made for her birthday. Self-unemployed, they said. Crumb tray fires. My friend is like one of those naps that make you feel like you've given 3 quarts of blood and then been handed a cup of orange juice. When she has me clean her kitchen, I don't get paid, you understand. She never fails to remind me that toaster crumb tray fires cost lives. She's over on the couch wanding me around with flicks of her wrist and vague pointing gestures. I think you missed a spot. Don't forget the toaster crumb tray. Those fires cost lives, you know? I'm thinking she could clean her own crumb tray, but she's the kind of person, if you ask her to do anything, even something that benefits her, she says, I didn't ask to be born. That's the kind of person she was. And I was the kind of person who would have that kind of person for a friend, which doesn't speak very highly of me, so what? Just so you know, 3 quarts of blood is half the blood you have. Wake-up call. Getting my friend to wake up in the morning is like trying to make flowers open in winter with a blow dryer. She says she wants to start a dog hauling business. You know, for people who need their dogs moved across town and don't want to drive themselves. I won't be doing the hauling myself, she says, as if it weren't obvious. You can't make money working. It's all contracted out. I'm just here at home, leveraging my idea. Mosquito. Being at my friend's is like being a mosquito on a camping trip. Every time you eat, someone's trying to kill you. From the freezer, she took a desiccated bag of waste meat, which she proposed to make a soup by adding water and more water and salt and lettuce and then boiling and boiling. She said the soup would go well with the cinnamon toast end pieces she found, I think, in a bread box she bought as a collectible at a yard sale, and she asked if I'd set the table. I think the idea was next time, maybe every time, I'd cook. Lighting fires. I don't know how to be mad at my friend for being the person I always knew she was. She performs a kind of effortless psychoventriloquism where my own worst thoughts about myself come out of her mouth. Have you noticed how with some people you're trying to stomp out fires while they're always lighting new ones? My friend has a thing for setting fires like that. Always another combustible thing to light in her life, always someone else's job to put it out. Maybe you've had a friend like that, or maybe many. Maybe some people make problems and other people solve them in a kind of perpetual motion, like that black-white sun-driven whirligig in that sealed glass bulb that people used to put on their desks at the office or in windowsills. Never get between someone and the trauma they fasten to. I wanted to be the knife thrower, I think I told you. At least when you're stomping out other people's fires, you're not thinking about yourself. Motel radio. My friend is like one of those motel radio alarm clocks that the person who had the room, before you had it, set and left. And now it's going off in the middle of the night. And you don't know what it is at first, and you're struggling to find a way to turn it off. And the song is loud, and always something about a man who did his woman dirty wrong and wants her to take him back. I would never take him back. I would beat him to a pulp with the handle of the payphone he's calling from. I would beat him down in that phone booth. I would break the glass with the back of his head. I would break his ankles to bits. In the collapsing metal door, I would steal his car and wreck it and pull myself out of that wreckage and walk away, and I would never take him back. I walk the side streets, littered and shiny. I wander through overgrown gardens. I go to the ocean some evenings. One step, one step, one step along the shore. The somersaulting waters of the waves remind me how foreign a thing it is to be alive. How strange.
Hi, my name is Tasha Deen. I'm a senior English literature student with a minor in food studies. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and yes, I adore Francie Nolan from A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Outside of my studies, I'm one of the editor-in-chiefs of Blackbird Literary and Arts magazine, which you should keep out an eye for during the dessert period, as Caroline mentioned. My earliest encounter with the New England Review was from my first Middlebury reading event I attended. A friend of mine and former intern was running this exact event and mentioned I should keep the journal in my mind. And now here I am, 2 years later. The pieces I'm about to read are from when I was living in Dublin. They were primarily written on park benches where I would spend a lot of my time, or during those few hours when I rode the train into London. Harpenden, London. Something is dead in the field outside London. Near Harpenden Station, a vulture circles the wide greenery. That thing perishes behind the small cottages where yellow buttercups beside yellow rattle fill the passing fields. Loud children with unfamiliar but notably London accents repeat themselves to their parents. Where are we now? Where are we now? They say while kicking their feet against the seats in front of them. Their balding father asks them to stop, never telling them where they have gone. And a man with strong perfume lays himself down, blasting techno from his headphones, as something dies in the northwest paths of London. Bypassing the gates into my neighborhood, the Liberties, Dublin. Through the alley past St. Patrick's Park, piles of wasted construction and loose trash fills the fenced-over bushes. Turn the corner, though it is as mysterious as the sneakers hanging across the telephone pole on Marks Alley West. One left to Hanover Street, and it will be Friday. Mom will come and we will eat at Spitalfields. Another left, and you're onto the cone. Before Meath Street, where all the old ladies and their rolling carts complete their Sunday shop. Me and all of the old men, Ivy Gardens, Dublin. Me and all the old men spend our lunch breaks laying across sunlit benches. A few deep breaths and a squirrel approaches me. He is asking for bites of my banana bread. So, I share. Little pieces. He places a single paw on my foot. I say, "You're welcome." A couple across from me is sitting, and the man is holding a small dog in his arms. The stature of a young priest between us. He clutches a Bible with a rosary dripping from his hands. He has a peculiar look on his face. The large windows of the literary museum stare back at him. Purple and yellow flowers circle the drapes of his gown. One man is drinking a quart of milk, 3 benches down, while 2 men share a couple of chocolate chip cookies. I wonder what would happen if they'd cross over and share. Hands of the Weaver, Cliffs of Moher. The grass rolls over itself. Long spines curl, etching the gray overhead. Their wispy tails carry secrets, hushed across whispering valleys. This is how they carry their history. Lost along cliff's edges, a tale of unweaving narratives. In a humorous tone, I ask, where this leaves the weaver. The wind throws my words back at me. Raveling into them, I land on the pillowing comforts of unknowing. The grass creeps around, growing on my body. The hands of the weaver roll against my skin. It is here where I fall to rest, lying in the billowing brie along the meadows of Moher.
My name is Weronika. I am a sophomore, as of today officially double majoring in economics and math. And my major choices probably prompt you to the fact that I do love numbers. But numbers are not the only thing that I love. In fact, I do love people as well and interacting with them, and that thing is what led me to participating in last year's Spencer Prize, an amazing experience when I stood on a stage and believed the exact same carpet, talking to a group of people about my experiences in Middlebury. That was just the beginning of my journey, because then, right after, I had the opportunity to join Oratory Now. So here I am. Today I will be reading an essay by Christina Alexandra Popp titled "Gone Mom." It's October 14th, 1989, and everybody knows that communism will last forever. Good afternoon. Miss Adriana, is that right? Mom nods, surprised that this stranger in dirty overalls knows her first name. I'm from the phone company, he says. We received a report about your faulty line. There's nothing wrong with our line, Mom snaps, suspicious. Oh, are you sure? We certainly got a notification for this address. Let me take a quick look. He continues, shoving his ID and request for service form under Mom's nose and pushing through that partly open door. Mother shows him the phone placed on a round macrame doily atop a vanity desk. I peek from behind her as we both watch the technician remove the rotary dial. Unscrewing the plastic top cover, he pulls out 2 wires, red and yellow. Noticeably smug, this man pokes through our phone. He then smirks, wiping his sweaty forehead with his sleeve. Can I have a glass of water, Miss Adriana? Mom motions towards me, and I get him some water from the kitchen. The technician drinks it down and proceeds to reassemble the phone. Before leaving, he makes a quick test call to the phone company headquarters. The empty glass, covered in oily fingerprints, rests quietly on the doily. About half an hour later, Father returned home after picking up my brother from the violin lesson. "We had a visit," Mom whispers. Catching the gloom in her voice, Dad becomes alarmed. "It's about your trouble, right? Who was it? What did they want?" Mom points to the phone. Dad picks up the headset. Pressing his index finger to his lips, Father signals for us to remain quiet. During the ensuing pantomime, my brother and I watch Mom literally tiptoe as he brings the toolbox from the pantry. After unscrewing the lower end of the handset and unbraiding a few delicate wires, Dad detaches a round black device with a metallic rim. We all gather around to look at this small thing lying in the palm of his hand. "What is it, Dad?" my brother asks. "This is an omnidirectional microphone," Father answers placidly, and I cannot tell whether he's scared or thrilled. "I'll put the microphone back in. We don't want them to know that we discovered it. But from now on, be careful when you talk on the phone and around the house," Father says and reassembles the phone's headset. In a few days, Mom will travel to West Germany to visit her father's cousin, Elsa, who emigrated legally from Romania more than a decade ago. Elsa was just one of nearly 250,000 ethnic Germans from Romania who were allowed to emigrate between 1968 and 1989. On the basis of a secret agreement that brought the communist authorities about 1 billion Deutsche Mark. A few days before Mom's departure, Uncle Dan, Father's younger brother, shows up unannounced at our door. "I'm worried," he says. "Where can we talk?" Dad brings an ashtray for my uncles and sets up kitchen stools for us to sit crammed around the sink in the bathroom. He nods, and my father turns the bathtub faucet at full volume. Uncle Dan looks at my mom. "So, I hear you're traveling to West Germany. How on earth did you manage to get a passport and a visa?" Just a few years before, I would have found Uncle Dan's curiosity foolish. To me, the question was not how, but why would Mom visit a capitalist country? In middle school, we watched a documentary about America. Jobless people lining up at food banks. Emaciated men injected heroin on the streets. Thugs shooting at each other in trash-covered back alleys. And student protests quelled by police in military gear. But then, returning home, I would find the shiny boxes of German marzipan that Elsa sent us for Christmas. And I would see Disney movies at the undergrad watch parties organized by our neighbors. On their VHS players smuggled all the way from Belgium. And what about the Voice of America rock and roll broadcast that we would secretly listen to despite Securitate's attempts to distort the original radio signal? But now, at 16, I cannot reconcile the capitalist house pay with the heavenly smell of the Faso bars, smuggled from Austria via Hungary and used as a currency on the informal market. What really is going on beyond the Iron Curtain? The water is hammering the bathtub, and the cigarette smoke sketches lazy arabesques in the humid air of the bathroom. Uncle Dan, who ranks as a captain in the Romanian Air Force, recounts. A week ago, I was summoned by the ABIS commander to the headquarters. A Securitates officer was waiting there for me. First, I feared it might be about my co-pilot. He always does these droll jokes about stupid party activities. You know the type. Anyway, it wasn't that. The second guy warned me about your travel to Germany. Putting out the cigarette in the ashtray, he stares at Mom. Adriana, if you defect, they will kick me out of the military. My career will be over. Exactly 2 weeks and 5 days after she leaves for Germany, we receive a package with Mom's cursive scroll on the shipping label. There's so many wonders inside. A 1 liter oblong tin can full of sunflower oil, half a kilogram of muesli with dried tropical fruits, a shiny dark green and gold bag of Jacob's coffee, 4 gigantic Milka chocolates, and several Rexona soap bars, featuring a promise that I don't understand. Lees die nicht im Stich. Mom's handwriting, so delightfully plump and unassuming, has the astonishing power to bring her back to us. Still, all the complicated German letters and the exotic smells arising from the package shroud her in a bitter, distant strangeness. And for the first time, I understand that Mom is gone. Inside of the chocolate wraps, we find a note. My dears, I am doing well. Elsa says hello. I will try to call later. Long-distance calls are so expensive. How is our neighbor, Mr. Savulescu? Is he still donating blood with the Red Cross these days? Much love, Mom. What is with Mother's sudden interest in Mr. Savulescu, who's not even our neighbor anymore? And what does donating blood have to do with anything? But my father gets the hint in Mom's cryptic message. It happened 5 years ago, too long ago for you to remember, he tells my brother and me. Savulescu defected to Austria, and then he pleaded with the International Red Cross to grant refugee status to his wife and daughter. The Romanian government had no choice but to let them join him. But time has changed since my father's inquiries about securing refugee status for the Red Cross for 3 of us has proven fruitless. Romania is not caving anymore to the international pressure. Weeks later, my brother comes up with an idea. We'll become members of his Friends Baptist Church, which is well connected with the US pastors who have in the past lobbied Romanian officials to approve family reunion immigration and pay the communist cadre up to $5,000 per family member to facilitate their move. The idea is sound, except that won't hear about adopting a new religion when we can't even practice our Orthodox faith. Days later, with windows and blinds and curtains closed, we listen to the evening broadcasts from Voice of America. As always, the signal arrives from far beyond the Iron Curtain, distorted and congested. Speakers' voices overlap, fade away, get drowned out by random musical fragments. The broadcaster's voice reemerges shortly from the ocean of full-blown piano concert to announce that the Berlin Wall has fallen. For the next few days, everybody whispers the news, perplexed and excited. In practice, though, nothing has changed. Mother's repeated attempts to call us on the phone are interrupted just seconds into the conversations. And then, a few weeks later, more news comes. This time, through the distorted electromagnetic waves of Radio Free Europe. Nadia has defected. The poster child of Romanian athletics, the first perfect 10 gymnast in the history of modern Olympic Games, Nadia Comaneci, has fled the country on foot at night, guided across the Hungarian border by a professional human smuggler. A bleak and snowless December is upon us. Every evening, I go downstairs to check the rusty mailbox that opens with a squeak. It's empty. Mom's letters don't make it. Father has been having water-muffled bathroom conversations with a stranger whose face is covered by a long, unkempt beard. Then, one evening, Father takes my brother and me into the backyard. He whispers, "We are going to Germany to see Mom, but no one else must know. Do you hear me?" We're not frightened. That explains, I hired Nadia's guide, and he will take us by boat across the Danube into Yugoslavia. Thursday night. We cannot use the Hungarian border anymore. There is increased surveillance after Nadia's escape. So soon? I asked. It's already Monday. How are we going to get ready? We must be quick and quiet. I don't remember much of the next 3 days. But here we are, in the hamlet of Svanta Elena, ushered by our guide's girlfriend down a rocky, slippery trail descending to the Danube. She promises that she will protect us. And her boyfriend, Aaron, my father's spirited stranger, will join us shortly on the riverbank. A chunky, inflatable boat awaits. We are enveloped in what feels like thick, underground darkness, listening to the hypnotic cadence of the river waves. Aaron is late. What worries me is not that we are setting off to pierce through the Iron Curtain, which after the fall of Berlin Wall is more like a shredded drape, but rather I wonder about crossing the point of no return, from innocence to something unknown. This journey is a replay of an ancient tale in which a ferryman with uncombed beard and all that leads wandering souls into the afterworld. And I am afraid of the lure, the brutality, and the irrelevant folly of whatever afterworlds I might encounter after communism. But for the moment, it seems that I will be spared. Our real weird bearded guy is not going to make it tonight. Word reaches us that he was arrested earlier today because he had helped Nadia run. It's been 10 weeks and 2 days since the technician bugged our phone. Christmas is approaching. Of course, nobody acknowledges that publicly, but everyone celebrates in private. There has been no sign from Mom since our failed attempt to join her. It seems like nothing has changed. But apparently, something really big is happening by the border with Hungary, in the city of Timisoara. Every evening, our ears are glued for hours to the more distorted than ever radio signal of Free Europe. Rumors of street protests, the army shooting the crowd, thousands of hidden dead bodies. I look through the window at the gloomy winter solstice sunset. Our street is dim and quiet. Asleep on the sofa with his mouth open, Father puffs at precise intervals of 4 seconds. And I wish for this torpor, so ripe with promise to last forever. Because in a few days, purity will be lost with not a whimper, but a bang. Instead of oars quietly dipping into the Danube's waves, there will be Kalashnikov automatic fire. The deafening string of pops will bounce off downtown's Baroque walls. My brother and I will wander streets flooded with thousands of tourists waving ripped flags. We will join them in chanting about the dictator's shameful helicopter escape. In the evening, the phone will ring. It's Mom, who whispers in a deliberately husky voice, "Hey, Saki officer, if you're listening right now, next time, send a technician who has less oily hands."
morning, everyone. My name is Sam Wemmer, and I'm a junior English and biology major here at Middlebury. And I've worked with the New England Review since last semester when I joined the poetry and prose reading groups. And last year I also had the opportunity to read one of my stories at the Outlouder Event, and they've been kind enough to invite me back to read here at Outlouder. So tonight I'll be reading my story, Field Notes. Jonah, July 7th, 2021. Times is weird. Remember that time we were tripping in the patchy pine forest behind Cigarette Butt Beach, the coyotes flanking us on all sides, howling to each other to alert their young? It was breeding season, to our flame-licked flesh, the faux Injun cow skulls embellished on our cans of Arizona, flashing in the smoky glow of a roaring orange fire, a plane blinking blearily overhead, iPhone transmitting bassy goth pop to a Bluetooth speaker 20 feet away. We choke up on our tiki torches, anticipating the snapping mandibles and yellow eyes that advance from cloud-purple skies. Their jaws are slaked with saliva, a symptom of hunger, not dumb animal madness or disease. We hallucinate, but it is real. And not knowing whether to laugh or cry, we do both, sobbing and slapping our sides with fear as the primitive threat advances in its shadowy ranks, to eat us up like fat characters in a weird German folk tale. And in our moment of hilarity and despair, the cops, the pigs, the heat arrive. Bloated knights errant astride bleeding black and blue metal horses. They drive the noble demons out with the beam of a righteous maglight, and we scatter. Akara, August 8th, 2024. You've got to go back home to your old town. Walk with your first real friend down the glass-flaked mud bike path, the walls still stabbed with groves of sturdy bamboo. She peels a Thai mango from the Cambodian grocery one town over, and together you suck the soft, nectary pulp from hairy seeds while watching a polite family of ducks. The bamboo is invasive, its presence a foreign incursion. Along the path, someone has constructed garden beds from its dried brown canes. Father and son. You like to imagine them cutting down the tremendous stalks, cutting them again, expertly. Solid cylinders that fit together in a complex system of notches and support beams. They wash their hands in the rain barrel, like the one the chipmunk drowned in. If you strike a refined bamboo cane against the ground, it vibrates violently, the tremors echoing through your radii like the sharp whap of a birch baseball bat. You both stop to smoke on a bridge over the water, watching the fishermen pull slippery, olive-skinned eels from chicken wire traps. They emerge first from the gray, lead-contaminated mud, and then through the thick bank of acid fog, and finally onto the delicious salted boards of the pier, ready to be chopped into smaller, wriggling chunks, the vestiges of a nervous system still shivering in belated anticipation. The eels will be used to catch bigger fish. The fish will be too small to keep under state law, but relished anyway. They are excellent with garlic and butter. Everything in the sea is. They are pulling up invasive European crabs now, with florided emerald shells, and this absolves them of their shrewd poaching of the undersized bass. Crabs will bake, slathered with mayonnaise in a cheap electric oven, and expel their sweet and briny juices into the Pyrex below. Sweet soup stock. Clam forks pitch up and down on the horizon, pulling mercurial shells from the sand. It's all full of metal, the sea life. There was, once, a lead mill. Now, it's a nature preserve. Your friend hands you another cigarette. Everything delicious and tainted goes down easy. Misery Island Expedition, June 12th, 2019. See the island? It is one of hundreds like it, in the cold harbor, close enough to reach by rented kayak, former site of a lavish hotel for summering New Yorkers, then a plague doctor colony of cholera patients, then a summer camp. Now, it collects dribbling bird shit that steams in saline indolence. A man drinks heavily. He tips endless cans of Steel Reserve down his throat. His gullet moves like a hungry seagull's, greedily swilling the starchy liquid. The tent is fashioned from blue tarpaulin harvested from the docks, where he loads the traps. Day in and day out, He threads calloused sausage fingers through the wire bars of double parlor crustacean prisons. In self-imposed exile, he sits under the scintillating flap of tarp, staring at the sad bulk of the punctured dinghy. The liquor tastes good. It is dependable like the old job. No help is coming. I found his body with my friend last summer. It was picked clean by the gulls. Middlebury, Vermont, winter 2023. The government-issued snow has arrived, and it looks like anemic Dippin' Dots. Novelty ice cream pellets are falling from the sky. They are drained of their cheery, clown-colored dyes, the kinds made from alkaline metals bonded to halogen gases, the kind of caustic metal salts made appealing by their technicolor hue. Each bald flake contains a plastic capsule of estrogen and atrazine designed to seep into the water supply of the permeable human membrane. Catch it on your tongue. You love this. Yukon Territory, 1987. I went fly fishing in an empty stream. The trout bodies all swept to sea by an errant current, stricken with salmon-colored lesions. The bears did not touch them. Dinner date, September 2022. Long black hair between the bristles of someone else's comb. Lonely and dried up from lack of scalp. Miss you. We ate overly salted anchovies on my filthy blue carpet and cried. Shopping list. Liver of filefish, wagyu beef, ostrich egg. These are the things I want to eat, but never will. September 2nd, 2024. I am uttering. Until that, I'm not the one that I was.
Hi, I'm Sorina Johnston. I'm a senior Feb here at Middlebury. I am from Port Townsend, Washington State, and I grew up on a farm where I spent a lot of my time walking around, talking to myself and animals. The imagination does miraculous things, and eventually my interest in talking, humming, turned into theater, songwriting, performing arts. I do improv and a cappella on campus, and I got involved with Oratory Now because of how important public expression has been to me and wanting to help other students find that confidence and freedom too. Jane by K.R. Mullins. In this story, you are not Jane. We'll say Jane is wearing pants. Jane is wearing pants, and you are wearing a skirt and a crop top. You don't have to believe me, because of course it isn't a crop top. It's that Pink Floyd t-shirt from Hot Topic that you bought with the last of your allowance. You bought it because you couldn't go to that concert in a polo, now could you? But we'll say it was a crop top, if you feel better about that. This is not a story about you, even if you want it to be. You and Jane are on the bus home, and you are silent. Before that, though, you and Jane are at the concert. You can pretend you are somewhere else if that helps you, but you're at a concert that you weren't supposed to go to because you snuck out last week, and you are grounded. Jane's fake ID gets you drinks, and you can't hear each other, so you put your hand on your chest instead to feel the beat of the band pulsate through your heart. The band doesn't matter, but if it helps you, we can say that it's not at least Pink Floyd. There is a man in this story. He comes in soon. You sip a beer. Would it help to pretend it's a pop? A ginger ale? You only drink that when you're sick. You've never had beer before. You take a sip and are disappointed to discover that beer, like coffee, is a drink you've been promised all your life that is, in truth, bitter and foul. When you take a sip, your jaw tightens against the swallow. You force it down anyway. Now, is when the man comes in. The man has a distinctive face, but you can forget that detail. He comes up behind you, snaking an arm absently around your waist. He leans past you as though skimming the crowd for someone else. His hand is warm on your hip, the music has fuzzed and the lights too, and your head has begun to pound with your heart and the beat. You are not fully drunk, though if it helps, maybe you are. His hand feels like a mistake until you turn, and he is looking at you. He is. Believe me. He is looking at you, and his hips move with yours, and yours move with his. You think maybe you've lost Jane in the crowd, but you are wrong because he spots her. Or maybe you say her name, and you and he both see her together. Jane is dancing just ahead of you, her arms up. You shout something. Don't worry, it's not important. You are not the interest. The man's hand leaves a 5-pronged sweat print on your shirt. In the bathroom, alone, you put your hem under the faucet. Water blossoms across the fabric. Now you have lost Jane. You and Jane will be on the bus soon, but not yet. She will lean on you and vomit at your feet, but not yet. Your shirt is dry now. You took your time under the hand dryer in the bathroom, and now your shirt is warm and soft. You search for Jane. Across the room, as you push through the throbbing crowd, you find her. We can pretend she finds you, if you prefer. You are not the hero. You find her in a corner. The corner is dark. The man has a distinctive face. It's okay if you forgot that. Here is a list of what else you see. You don't have to believe me. Her shirt, a drag of lipstick from her mouth down her chin to the neckline on her crop top. Her pants, she's zipping them, and prongs of sweat like a snowflake on her breast. Yes, Jane is wearing pants, but Jane is the one with the crop top, not you. You're wearing the skirt, remember? The bus is cold. Jane shivers and cradles her hands across her chest. You don't look at her, but if you want to look at her, we can say at least that she is not crying. For a moment there is blood on her fingers, but then you see she's wiping lipstick from her chin. The point is, the story is not about you, even if you want it to be. You are neither the interest nor the hero. You are going home with a dry shirt and a sloshing stomach, nothing a little ginger ale can't settle. You go home and will be grounded some more. In this story, Jane goes home with everything else.
Jiao, and I'm from Beijing, China. I'm a super senior Feb, currently majoring in literary studies. I've come across the NER in my second year here and had the opportunity to read for one of their sim reading series, which I did have a lot of fun. I'm now interning for the fall, and I'm having a great time reading open submissions and learning more about the magazine. The story I'm about to read was written a year ago, when I took fiction tutorial while I was studying abroad in Oxford. It's told from a rather unstable or sometimes self-contradictory point of view about the feeling of guilt to a friend in an elementary school. The friend's name is Kai, and before this current passage, we knew that she didn't perform well in school and got scolded a lot by the head teacher Wei. Kai finds consolation in drawing, but we'll soon see that being taken away from her. The tedious cicada song seeped in from the window. The sun outside sent streams of light through the wavering elm tree leaves, forming viscous golden circles that flickered on our desks, immersing us in a strong but transient afternoon glow. Ever since I knew Kai could draw, we became friends. I discovered she had a stack of draft paper clipped together into a book. It's her compilation of comic stories. Since we had become friends, I would supply her with plots. Compared to her, I thought I could write better than I can draw, and she would turn my words two-dimensional. We would secretly pass paper back and forth in class to develop our characters and storyline. We would sneak out of the evening study periods into hallway to draw and talk. Kai's grade got worse because the comic consumed most of our attention, or perhaps, in retrospect, I couldn't help but wonder. Kai longed for something that life at school failed to give, so she chose to be consumed by her comic stories, and so her grades got worse. A math class made her give up her comic stories. I was passing her a piece of paper. Our teacher, Jiao, an intolerant, sharp-tongued young woman, caught Kai making marks and drawing figures on my paper. She was furious that someone dared disrespect her not paying attention in class and drawing useless nonsense. "Give them to me," she demanded Kai. Kai stood in silence, but she seemed to be staring very intensely into Jiao's eyes. "What was that? Did you just roll your eyes at me?" None of us spoke. We seemed to fear Kai's answer. But Kai stood in silence. I couldn't quite see her face. "Give them to me." Jiao advanced and tried to snatch the paper from Kai's desk, but Kai saw her coming and clenched Jiao's hands while pressing her body onto her desk, protecting the paper. Jiao pulled harder. She seemed so much weaker than Kai, the 12-year-old little girl who used to cry in classes. Kai's entire body curled up like a sapling bent by a thundering storm, her arms pulled closer to her chest, with the paper clenched in her hands. I thought I saw Kai's hunched body suddenly spring straight. She stumbled backward and tore the paper, strip by strip. I didn't notice there were tears on her cheek. She then pulled all her drawings out from her desk and tore them, initially one after another, and soon batch by batch. There were so many of them. So many figures in luxuriant dresses, at fancy dinners and night outings, so many love stories, so many tragedies. So many outlines and colors, so many strips of paper descended from her fingers. The floor beneath her desk was covered with paper strips, like falling flower petals, like an extravagant snowfall. Jiao reported this to Wei, complaining that Kai was led astray by these distractions. I recall Kai's parent coming. Their silhouettes stood in Wei's office, bathed in the receding afternoon sunlight. The cicada calls seeped in from outside the window as the sun slowly sunk beneath the window frame. I didn't know until later from rumors that Kai was forbidden to participate in an art competition that apparently Mrs. Jiao recommended to her. Wei apparently warned Kai's parents of the danger of useless nonsense and had successfully made her point. Kai must have enrolled in that art competition anyway, in secret, from Wei, from her parents, from everyone, even from me, because I couldn't recall at all her mentioning it to me. After this instance, some teachers, when Kai couldn't answer their questions, would occasionally make harmless jokes about her putting too much effort in useless nonsense. At this point, Kai didn't cry anymore. She just cut her hair shorter. Kai didn't talk much since perhaps she refused to talk. Perhaps she stopped caring. I wanted to believe because she didn't care and she was brave enough not to care. I find this explanation more consoling to her and to me. I never drew or climbed the pergola with her. In fact, I rarely saw her around. I remembered she stood diagonally in front of me in the class photo. taken after that final exam in March, which concluded our childhood. After that, school wasn't mandatory, so I didn't see her until graduation. She was one of the few people who wore a school uniform for graduation. I bumped into her in the hallway and asked immediately if we can take a photo together. She nodded, so we did. Later, I heard from others that Kai didn't go to any middle school entrance exams. She participated in the open draw, and the odds weren't in her favor. She got assigned to an ill-reputed middle school in the district. After we took the photo, Kai's mother waved at her from afar, so she said goodbye to me, asked me to take care, and immediately disappeared into the crowd. I never saw nor heard from her again, and I never received our photo, or I might have deleted it accidentally when I switched to a new phone.
Hello, my name is Max Gibson. I am a senior here at Middlebury studying Japanese and film. And yes, my senior thesis is about Japanese films. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana, but I'm a man of many homes. I currently live in Charlottesville, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and of course, Middlebury, Vermont. I've been working with Oratory Now for about 3 years. This is my second time doing NER Out Loud, and I'm happy to be here. This is Memoir by Craig Morgan Teicher. I was born. My mom died. My aunt killed herself. I went to grad school. Met Brenda. Worked at a magazine. My son was born in an emergency. Then my daughter. I worked at another magazine. I played drums, wrote in my journal, had sex, bought a lot of LPs, smoked pipe, took care of my son. It's my father out of view. Reviewed books, minded my verbs and commas, got stoned, stepped outside, and typed this into my phone this evening. I like sets. I like things color-coded, matching. I like a lot of the same thing neatly arranged. My books are alphabetical by author, section by genre or subject. I like rings, but only wear one. I like toe rings. There are a lot of things a poem can accomplish. Lots of ways it can proceed. I like pens, fountain pens. I'm left-handed, ink all over the meaty part of my palm. A poem has multiple possible reasons. A memoir has to tell a story. I used to work in publishing. My favorite is the second or third best of anything. Because my mother died, I am a poet. I'm filling the abyss with pebbles. They fall 100 mornings and make no sound, and they never land. A memoir has to say because. Somewhere in the triggering town, Richard Hugo says something about how poets should delete words like but, so, and because. Because I am a poet, I met Brenda, so Simone, so Calvin, so 3 cities and 2 love houses and Cashew the dog, but not my mother, not my precious grief, because I was born. A memoir is one big thing. Small parts don't sell. Readers want a story. You have to make yourself into a character. You have to laugh at yourself and put your pain in context. You have to tell the truth as if to your mama. But now you're all grown up. And your readership, huddled in the dim distance, expects a beginning, a middle age, an end, and instructions. It's supposed to be this, then that, cuts. My fingers are cold. It's now. I'm outside smoking and thumb typing. This as if to you. Life is a series of present moments, each cresting into the next. Can't a memoir be too? Why not snapshots? No meaning. Life as it truly is. Moments like sheets of ice, crashing, cracking their teeth with excruciating serendipity. A story is whatever, a poem is whatever, verse reverses, prose proceeds. Richard Howard. I can't do this that way. I guess I could, but I'm not going to. So, what? Because I like this way, just whatever, smoke. The poem seems to shape itself. You make a few small decisions, how long the line, how much in jambit, complex sentences or short ones, but even those choices, those concessions, are communicated from elsewhere, aren't they? The future? The end of the poem, which the poem already seems to know, though it won't tell you yet, except by beckoning, come here. Questions and clauses, the grammar illuminating just the next few words, come to the end, and then beyond the end of this, then the next sentence, it's its own light. But I can't remember the real story, the true. It was a long time ago. I wasn't there then, barely, looking at the world, my one and only time. What did my parents want before I was even an option? What dreams were dashed or fulfilled? Was anything about their lives like a dream? My dad's priceless model ship, my mom's sculpture of the month subscription, not the new dining room set. Maybe the little dog who made my mom like dogs. Maybe like George with the bowls, the morning sun. Maybe me, who could have been anything.